Next, we have Ms. Dju-Lyn. Ms. Dju-Lyn is the Regional Solution Consultant from Clarivate. She engages with researchers and university leaders around Southeast Asia in discussions around optimizing researcher workflows, bibliometrics, and strategic decision-making. For this event, she will be sharing about the trends in open research through the Web of Science lens, and she will also be presenting virtually as well. Ms. Dju-Lyn, please.
Thank you. Right. So I just want to confirm that you all can see my screen. So I want to first of all thank Dr. Willie Koh, Ms. Gosuni, Dr. Wilson Goh, and the organizing committee for putting together this great event and giving us the opportunity to participate as well. I apologize that I'm not able to be there in person because unfortunately I've caught COVID. So I'm still in my recovery. So hopefully what I'll be sharing today, this short sharing that I'm giving you will give you some useful insights into the open access research analysis that you can do using some of our data from Web of Science and Insights, as well as some other tools from Clarivate. Okay. So I've broken down my presentation today into just 3 short sections. So I'm going to use the Coalition S 2021 annual review as an example of how we can deep dive into the open access data for using Web of Science, give you a glimpse and insights into to consider what kind of analysis you can do within your own institutions to ascertain the direction or even the impact of your current initiatives for open research and open access. Okay. Then subsequently, I will go into suggesting additional use cases for open access data, and finally telling you what Clarivate has up next for open research. So with the increasing adoption of open research initiatives globally, Clarivate is actually working to support institutions, researchers, and funders, as well as publishers, with needed tools to meet the requirements of such initiatives. So on the screen here, I've actually listed down some of these tools that I think many of the Singapore institutions also have, as well as across the region. Tools like the Web of Science, Journal Citation Reports, which is the home of the Journal Impact Factor, and also EndNote and Insights Benchmarking and Analytics. So on Web of Science itself, it is a tool that researchers use for early discovery of research. And within the platform, we have the HUT, which is the Web of Science Core Collection. And this set of content is actually curated in-house using our 24 quality criteria and 4 impact criteria before journals can be indexed into this core collection. Be it open access or non-open access journals, the evaluation process and the criteria used are the same. And this helps to maintain the consistency and accuracy and quality standards for those journals in the platform. For the journal citation reports, this tool is a tool that will be very useful for researchers who are keen to find out about where they can publish. Because ultimately, even if the initiative is launched, researchers, especially the early career researchers, need some guidance as to where can they publish, what is trusted, where is the open access, which open access journals I can publish in. So the journal citation reports is one of the tools that your researchers will be able to utilize to make the best decisions for their manuscript. So all in all, hopefully this suite of tools can be fully utilized by your institution to support your open research initiatives. Now let's dive into the Coalition S 2021. So earlier on, we heard about the many different initiatives from our first speaker, and you mentioned about Coalition S, which is Plan S, and how the 2021 is actually a critical year for this this initiative, because it is the first year that all the policies have to be in place, and institutions who partake in this initiative have to produce the results. So has that result come into play? So let's take a look. So this is just a snapshot of the funders. So it's very small. I do apologize, but there is definitely a link there, or you can go to the Coalition S website to see who are the funders that are partaking in, and organizations that are partaking in Plan S. But for the study that we are doing in this next few slides, we have taken into consideration this set of funders. So there's national funders as well as some European funders. So all in all, when we're looking at the papers that are funded by Plan S organizations, we are looking at the whole of the Web of Science core collection that I mentioned earlier on. Currently, only about 13% of the papers indexed in Web of Science are funded by the Plan S initiative. It sounds very small, but in comparison to when the initiative was launched in 2018, we were looking at 6%. So this is actually a more than 100% jump in the contribution already, which is very fast. Okay. Then in this next slide, we are looking at the different levels of open access by these Coalition S funders. Within Web of Science itself, we have these different levels of open access that you are able to filter down to. And that's why the analysis can be so granular. We are able to look at the gold hybrid, free to read documents, as well as all the green documents, be it accepted, submitted, or published. Now, in the ideal world arrangement, I think for the Plan S initiative, the compliance relies on publishing in gold open access publications. And true enough, when you're looking at the trend, we see an increase in annual trend from 2018 to 2021 in the number of contributions into the gold open access documents. However, there is still an increase in the gold hybrid documents, and perhaps that could the reason could be around, for example, certain subject areas that do not have that proper infrastructure to support the gold open access publications yet. Limited journals in those research areas, those could also be contributing factors to why those numbers are still increasing. For the green level publications, those are you can see that the submissions have declined, but the published numbers are increasing. This is due to the time lag. So in terms of like when the initiative was launched to when we are looking at this study, there is time lag in terms of when things were published and when things were accepted. Okay. But ultimately, the main gist of this particular slide is that there's still continuous growth in publications across all levels. Now, this might be a bit of a small slide to digest, but what I wanted to point out to you is in terms of the volume of papers acknowledging the funding of Plan S organizations, it still varies very significantly and it's very top heavy. So the national funders like the European Commission, UKRI, they are still the main contributors to the papers. Okay. If we zoom in closer to three of these funders, I'm using Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Wellcome Trust, and the Science Foundation Ireland. You can notice there's quite a stark difference in the open access levels that they're publishing in. So taking a look at Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Wellcome Trust, you notice that the majority, actually close to 90–80% of their publications are all open access compared to the Science Foundation Ireland. So this could be this could be one of the telltale signs that for those subject-based research councils, there could be some challenges in trying to meet the Plan S initiative. Then how has Plan S actually affected research areas? I think I mentioned one of the challenges earlier on a few slides ago, where there's a difference in the infrastructure for different subject areas. So in an earlier ISI report around Plan S launched in 2019, it was found that the research areas such as mathematics, chemistry, and space sciences, we find that Plan S particularly challenging. And this is because a relatively large percentage of papers in these areas actually acknowledge Plan S funders, but only a relatively small percentage are currently published in DOAJ listed journals. Okay. So by contrast, research areas like immunology or molecular biology and genetics have much greater compliance. This implies that these life sciences research areas are both suitable venues exist and they are widely used by Plan S funded researchers. So to give you an idea of the difference in the journals that are available, okay, take a look at this graph that we had retrieved based on 2017 data. So for all papers under molecular biology and genetics, so this chart actually shows you the journals that that have a journal impact factor in Web of Science under the ESI category of molecular biology and genetics. The lines in red would show you the open access DOAJ listed journals. So for this genre, this molecular biology and genetics category, you see a strong infrastructure in play, and researchers in this field do have wider options to select in terms of publishing in open access. On the contrary, for the subject matter like mathematics, even in social sciences as well and arts and humanities, there is very few DOAJ listed journals, as you can see here for mathematics. So very, very few lines available for those that are in journal impact factors. Okay. Then this slide actually helps to share with you the citations. So I think when we're talking about open science and open research, we are looking at distributing knowledge across the world to benefit society. But ultimately, the other side of the story is also from the researcher standpoint that hopefully by publishing in open access, my research becomes more visible and therefore readership is higher and potentially citations are higher. So is that true? So for the Plan S funded papers in each of these categories, we do see that across the board, all the average citation counts are above the category totals. Okay, so definitely Plan S funded papers are cited more frequently on average than other papers. Then what about countries? How is Plan S affecting countries? We know that Plan S is very Europe-centric, is a Europe-centric initiative, but it does have a butterfly effect or trickle-down effect into the Asia-Pacific region as well, or those outside of Europe. On this slide, I'm just showing you a comparison of, on the left, countries that have a national funder that has endorsed Plan S. Okay, so on the left, you will see that there is still a large proportion of documents with Plan S acknowledgements, but they are published in non-DOAJ listed journals. So you would see this one, the purple, so Plan S, but not in DOAJ. So if Plan S is going to continue to assert that they should be published in DOAJ listed journals, go open access, then these are papers that we call at-risk papers. Yeah. So have a think about it. If these national funders can do more to push the initiative a bit more, there is potential to increase the ultimate contribution to Plan S by quite a substantial number. So you would potentially move this up to close to 50%. Yeah. On the right, this would be those that are outside of Europe. Okay. And the effect is smaller, but you can still see that from the graph, if they are able to move some of this purple into the orange, it would definitely help to move things along a bit faster to make science more open. Then what about those that are outside of Europe? Okay, so in 2017, approximately 215,000 papers indexed in Web of Science were the product of collaborations between a European country and the rest of the world. Now, of these papers, 19% of them acknowledged support from a Plan S funder. And Europe's most prolific collaborative partner, can you guess who? It's the US. So US actually has about 25% of these papers that have listed a Plan S funder. But Singapore also has its presence. So you can see that Singapore is here as well. And Singapore does contribute to Plan S funded research through international collaborations with those that are working within the European region. So if you want more details on this report, I have put in the QR code on the screen. So just scan the QR code and you can actually download this detailed report that is written by ISI on the Plan S footprint and what are the implications for the scholarly publishing landscape. Okay. Now, I'm just going to quickly highlight some of the additional types of analysis you can do with our data. Okay. The first one that I wanted to give you a glimpse of is Singapore's open access contribution in clinical and life sciences. So this is a visualization that I've extracted from Insights Benchmarking and Analytics. So, and these are the organizations. In case some of you want to have a closer look, these are the top institutions. We have NUS, A*, NTU, SGH, Tan Tock Seng, IMCB, Singapore National Eye Centre, GIS, National Cancer Centre, KK, and Singapore Heart Centre. Okay, these are their contributions over the past decade into open access and specific to the field of clinical and life sciences. So the sharpest increase is actually with NUS. So in most recent years, you have a sharp increase in contributions for open access. And this is largely due to the contributions for things like the COVID virus. So research around COVID, the coronavirus, those are actually contributing factors to this. Okay. To zoom in closer, we take a look at those that are A*, NTU, and so on. NTU is also showing a very sharp increase in contributions for clinical and life sciences for open access. The next thing that you can also look at is the research topic itself. So I mentioned that coronavirus was contributing. How did I know that? So from Insights itself, you're able to look at the research topics using what we call the citation topic schema. And you can see this sharp jump for those that are in this red line here. So this red line is virology, virology, general. So this particular uptrend is for the coronavirus. And to dive deeper, you can look at which are the subtopics under virology that contributed to this research. So you have coronavirus, you have influenza, measles, HFMD, and RSV. Okay. For each of the topics, for example, the second one, which is ophthalmology, you can also still dive deeper into the second level to take a look at those micro topics and see their performance. You can also assess institutions' open access footprint using our data. So you can compare different institutions and how they've contributed over time. And you can even look at each journal. So this could be particularly useful for the library, where you want to look at the amount of open access documents within a journal itself to help with collection management, for example. For the researchers, they might want to know out of that research topic, what are the open access content that is available for them to read. Within the Web of Science platform, there's a filter that they can use to easily filter this down to just open access documents. And within Web of Science, we're talking about close to 25% of content that is open access and freely available to read. And I mentioned about journal citation reports. Users can also go into this platform to look at the journals that are listed in the DOAJ so that they can narrow the journal list down for their own areas of interest. So what's next for open research within Clarivate? Open peer review. So we've recently launched a new service for publishers in 2018, and this is called the Transparent Peer Review. And this is an innovative solution that brings openness to peer review by exposing a comprehensive peer review history, including reviewer reports, editor decision letters, and authors' responses, all linked from the published article. So this is an example of how it would look like. It would look kind of small for all of you, but it would include the decision letter, the reviewer report, and the main criticism. So this is the next thing that we are working with publishers on. We've piloted this with Wiley in 2018, and we are now working with 7 publishers in total to work through putting this transparent peer review in place so that you're able to see the full peer review process for those articles from those publishers. If you want to find out more about this tool, scan the QR code here, and it will take you to this blog that was written by our director of ISI to inform you of the current state of open peer review. So finally, this is what the Web of Science and Clarivate have to help support researchers, institutions, and publishers to fulfill the open research initiatives, both institutionally and nationally. So I wish you all success in your research and probably some time for questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chng, for the very informative presentation. So there's one question on Slido. How does Clarivate track green submitted, green accepted, and green published articles?
That's a very good question. So we've actually worked with Unpaywall to work to the article level and identify down to the article level which are the labels that we should be giving for each document. At the same time, we also get this information from repositories that we are working with and journals. So all the different levels of open access is based off partnerships, publishers, and repositories.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chng, once again for the very interesting presentation.